All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're tackling a framework that's, well, it's nothing short of audacious. It's an attempt to build a bridge between some of the biggest, toughest problems in physics, neuroscience, and philosophy. The goal? To come up with a single, elegant blueprint for reality itself. This is what's called the Unified QIC Framework.
So, here's a question that has puzzled thinkers for, well, forever. Is the universe fundamentally made of stuff, or is it made of thought? Is our mind just a trick played by our physical brain, or is the physical world a construction of our mind? The framework we're exploring today throws a wrench in that whole debate. It suggests a pretty radical third option. What if both mind and matter are just two faces of a much deeper, more fundamental reality? So here's our game plan. We're going to start with the philosophical foundation, then build up the cosmic architecture of this thing. From there, we'll see how it tries to explain our own subjective experience, completely reframe the job of the brain, and even explore how our minds could influence matter. And we'll wrap it all up with the really profound conclusion this framework leads to.
Okay, before we get into the really mind-bending physics, we have to understand the philosophical ground floor this whole structure is built on. It all starts with a position known as neutral monism.
Neutral monism basically says that mind and matter aren't in some cosmic cage match because neither one of them is the ultimate boss. Instead, they both bubble up from a single underlying reality, a sort of deep informational source code. So, in this view, the mental and the physical are on equal footing. They're just different ways that the same unified source expresses itself.
Okay, so if mind and matter are springing from the same source, what does that source even look like? To build its cosmic architecture, this framework borrows a really powerful and fascinating concept from theoretical physics.
And that concept is the holographic principle. The idea here is that the 3D world we see and touch and live in isn't the fundamental reality. Nope, it's actually a projection, kind of like a hologram. Think of it this way. All the source code that defines everything in our universe is written on a distant, two-dimensional surface, and our 3D reality is just the program running from that code. And this table here, it really breaks it down nicely. On one side, you have the implicated order. That's the 2D boundary, the holographic film holding all the potential information, and on the other side, you have the explicated order. That's our 3D world, the projected image, the physical reality that gets unfolded from that film.
All right, so let's bring this down from the cosmos to, well, to us. How does this wild blueprint for reality help solve one of the absolute biggest mysteries in neuroscience? Our own unified consciousness. You know, how do all the separate streams of information, sights, sounds, feelings become a single seamless I? This is a huge puzzle known as the binding problem. For decades, neuroscientists have been searching for some kind of command center in the brain where it all comes together. But here's the kicker. They've never found it. And this framework suggests a very simple reason why. They're looking in the wrong place. In fact, the framework's solution is that they're looking in the wrong dimension entirely. It argues that the unity we feel isn't manufactured inside our brains. Instead, it's a direct property of the information that is already unified on that 2D holographic boundary. The mechanism for this? It's called geometric entanglement.
And this quote right here, this is the heart of it. That feeling you have right now of being a single whole person, that oneness, is a projection. It's the holographic twin of quantum information being fundamentally interconnected or entangled on that deep boundary surface. To put it simply, your personal sense of unity is a reflection of a deeper cosmic unity.
Okay, so if the unity of our consciousness is actually being projected from some cosmic boundary, what's the brain even for? Is it just a passive movie screen? Well, not at all. Its role in this model is incredibly active and, frankly, pretty extraordinary.
So this is a really critical shift in perspective. The standard view is that the brain is a factory. Through incredibly complex computations, it produces consciousness. But the QIC framework says no. The brain is more like a highly advanced biological radio receiver. It receives and tunes into the vast informational fields that are already out there in that implicate order.
So how does it do this? How does it tune in? Well, the idea is that it happens through a kind of biological superconductivity. Metabolic energy from our cells makes molecules inside tiny structures called microtubules start vibrating. They all start vibrating together in perfect sync until, bam, they lock into phase and form what's called a Freilich condensate. This is wild.
It's a state where countless individual molecules start acting as one single unified quantum object across a huge area of the brain, creating a bridge to that deeper quantum realm.
Now, this quantum state in the brain leads us to what is probably the most provocative part of this whole framework. If the mind is a coherent quantum field, can it actually influence the physical world? Can our intention have a real causal effect on matter?
This is a huge hurdle, right? Any theory for mind over matter has to play by the rules. It has to work with the laws of physics, not against them. You can't just go violating the conservation of energy. That's a total non-starter in physics. So how does this framework get around that?
It proposes this really clever triple lock mechanism. Lock 1, the mind doesn't act like a sledgehammer. Instead, it performs what physicists call weak measurements. Think of it more like using a dimmer dial to gently nudge quantum probabilities, rather than flipping a hard on-off switch. Lock 2, this gentle nudge changes the informational stencil on that deep holographic boundary, which changes the blueprint of what's possible. And Lock 3, this is the genius move, it separates information from energy. Think about an architect who hands over a blueprint. The blueprint is just information. It doesn't violate any laws of physics. Then the universe acts like the construction crew, providing all the energy and materials to build what the blueprint describes. The mind guides, the universe builds.
So let's bring all these pieces together. We've got a holographic universe, a grain that tunes into it, and a mechanism for our intention to guide it. So what's the final, breathtaking picture this paints of our place in the cosmos?
The framework calls this whole process the holomovement. It's this continuous, dynamic cycle where the unfolded potential of the universe, that implicate order, is constantly being unfolded into actual, lived experience through the act of conscious observation itself.
And this leads to a complete reimagining of who and what we are. We are not just separate observers looking at the universe from the outside. We are an integral part of it. We are the specific points, the apertures through which the universe's own potential becomes real. We are the way the cosmos becomes aware of itself.
And so we end with this one last incredible thought. This framework suggests that the observer and the observed are, at the deepest level, one and the same. It asks us to seriously consider the possibility that our individual consciousness isn't just some brief, accidental flicker in a meaningless cosmos, but that it's actually a fundamental and even necessary part of the universe's grand project of knowing itself.